Hey guys, hey, welcome to the Film Life vlog. Hey, I'm so glad you guys joined me, and welcome to my new setup here for my YouTube studio. So this is the camera one, and this one right here would be camera 2, which is showing this beautiful camera which I am going to talk about today. Okay, so let's get to it. Today I am going to share with you this beautiful camera. This one here is the Rapid Omega 200 camera. Now I've already talked about this in the past. I have done an overview of this camera, and for those of you that have not watched this, it's gonna pop up on your screen. You can just click and add it to your playlist. But this camera here is such a beautiful, I think it's a beautiful camera, but I guess that is also subjective, because some people may think of this camera as ugly. But for me, I think it's beautiful. I really think this camera is quite nice. It's heavy, it's a bit complicated, but I like it because it's quite durable. Now I'm going to go through some of the features. I'll go through it quickly for the benefit of those that have not seen my other video. Then I'm going to actually load this camera with film. So let's go right ahead to the features. Okay, so right from the onset, you can see that this camera here, it's a medium format camera. You'll notice that this camera is quite blocky, which adds to its charm. And the lens currently on this is the 90mm lens f3.5, as you can see right there. The shutter speed dial is this one here, and it goes from bulb to 1/500th of a second, which is actually quite reasonable considering how old this camera is. And the aperture ring is on the inner side here, and it ranges from f3.5 to f32. And for a medium format camera, that is decent. That's a very decent range. You can get some really nice separation from the background at f3.5. You'll notice that there's a small window here. There's also a small button there that if you push up, this is supposed to pop up, but I think mine has lost this. There's a spring, I think that's supposed to be in there, that's supposed to pop this out, but because mine doesn't do it, I'll just use gravity to let it out. And once this opens, this is actually what you use to open the back of the camera, and there are two positions, lock or open position right there, and you can spin this, lift this up and spin it to open, and then the back just pops out. Now the guide talks about not pulling on this if you want to open the back, because I guess the risk of that is that your film might fall out. You never know. This can't support the weight of the back, so they recommend that after you do this, you gently lift the back like this to lift the back off. If you want to lock it, you put a little bit of pressure and spin this to the lock position, and then this is locked. You put this right back flat or flush, and then you close the back, and then this is secured. The back is secured. You use this for the film transport. This is actually one of the features that makes this camera quite unique. You're gonna have to pull this out and push it back in, and then it moves the film one frame. And this is how that would look like. It says load right in there. If that is not in the load position, this is what you do. So I'm just gonna advance this a few more slides and take it out of the load position. So for example, for whatever reason, if your film is not in the load position, remember I talked about the transport, this is how you push, you pull out and then you push back in. It advances it by one frame. And when I get to the 10, it locks. You heard that click. it locks it. Okay, so now it's in the 10 position, and even if I try to move this, it's not gonna move. It's stuck. And the only way to unstick it is to push this up, and while you're pushing up, you pull on the film advance like that. Okay, and then now you can get past the 10 position. Now the problem with my camera is that it's supposed to come with the handle on this side. I don't have it, so it makes it a bit more difficult to do this. Now I'm starting to see these dots. So now I have 2 red dots. That is like the trailing indicators. And one more pull, and now it indicates that I'm in the load position. Now what I've noticed is that when you don't pull this fully, you might have some problems with your film not being set on the proper position for the frame. You may get a little overlap, I think, because of what I'm noticing. For some of the times that I didn't pull fully, it's kind of hard to pull this because this does not have that handle on this side. That's one of the, I guess, disadvantages of this camera, is that it is so bulky and you actually need to have the accessories, and I anticipate that holding this for longer than an hour, you're gonna start feeling it. Okay, so the good thing is that this is at the load position, and this is when you are able to actually load your camera with film. So what the instructions say, this is actually the manual for this camera, and what it says is that when it's at the load position, now you can open the back. So I'm gonna push this button a little bit up, let gravity open the back for me. Like I said, my thing is not fully functional, the back, and then lift this up and spin. I'm gonna spin it anti-clockwise. Now the back opens, you grab it and you pull. Okay, so previously I had actually loaded this camera with film, but I loaded it in the wrong position. The instructions will tell you that this camera is actually supposed to be loaded on this side. Imagine that you've already shot the film. The film that you've shot, the used film, will be on this side. You have to hold onto the film like so, and a little push in this direction just allow is spring loaded, so it allows this to just pop out easily like that. So when you take it out, you make sure that, what I usually do is I put a little tape over here, and then I put this in a can, like in a canister, or put it in a darker place. You know, that's the best way to keep your film until you develop it. Now imagine that this is also now a fresh roll of film. That fresh roll of film is not going here, it's going here. This is where you took the used film. So the fresh roll, you have to take this one out. This one now becomes your take-up spool. In the same way as you took this out, you put a little pressure in this direction, and first of all let this ridge sit in the groove here, down here. You push and then you twiddle it a bit. You just move this a bit until this falls in the groove right there. There's a ridge up here that needs to fall in the groove. When it falls in, it's nice and secure like that. Okay, so your fresh film goes in this direction. The lead for the roll should be down and be coming in this direction, right? So what I'm gonna do is put the fresh film right in here, and in the same way you'll notice that there's also there's an allowance. It gives and it pushes down. So make sure that that ridge, little ridge, is sitting in here while you're putting your film in. Also make sure that you sort of hold on to this so it doesn't unspool, right? And I let that ridge sit in the groove and then push down, and then the top can just now sit in nicely like that. Make sure it's secure. Tug on it a little bit, make sure it's secure. Okay, now their instructions tell me that I need to now unroll this gently, and this is going to feed into the take up spool over here like that. And you notice that this take up spool only moves in one direction. You can't move it in this direction. It only moves in the right direction, which is like this. So that actually makes sense, right? Because this is supposed to roll onto it. So just keep pulling gently, and the film itself is further in here, okay? So it's always recommended that when you're doing this, you're doing this in a not too bright area. So if you're outside, just do it in the shade. That would be a good idea. So now you notice that I have pulled this. It's nice and taut. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep rolling as I keep rolling and keep it nice and tight. The goal is that you want this to get caught in the tension, and then there'll be no need to hold on to it after a little bit. So I'm just gonna keep rolling until it rolls over that lead so it doesn't get unfurled, right? So as you can see here, you're supposed to keep doing it until that arrow here comes over here. You see that right there, and then you stop and put the film. So I'm gonna keep doing this. See? Now and there we go. This arrow and that arrow. So now I'm gonna stop. This is nice and taut. Now this is now going to go to the back of the camera in this direction like that, and nice and gentle. You gotta open this up again. Just nice, make sure it sits in nicely. I'm just gonna spin this to come to the lock position. Now this is in the lock position, and flatten this, lock the back here, and make sure this is nice and tight. It's in there, secured. Okay. Now that this is loaded with film, there's still a few more steps that you have to go to actually complete the load. So let's do that. Okay, so the instructions now tell me that I need to now keep advancing this until I get to the 1 position, okay? And as you advance in it, you're gonna see the lead indicators. The lead indicators are those dots. Pull, fully extend, push fully in, and now you see the first lead indicator is 1 dot, a green dot this time. And now I'm gonna fully extend. Fully extend, this is important. Push back in, and now you see 2 dots, 2 green dots. And 1 more, fully extend, and push back in, and now it's the 1 position. So that means that this is now fully cocked and ready to shoot, and it's in the 1 position. So now this camera is now officially fully loaded. Yes. So I'm so excited, guys. For the first time I have this camera loaded. I would say that it wasn't as difficult as I really anticipated. I was a bit anxious actually about loading this camera. And also remember that you will not be able to basically fire this until you have removed the dark slide. And that's good. That's a good precaution that they put in there. So it's also fully cocked, so that means that I have to figure out a place tomorrow. I think tomorrow lunchtime I'm gonna go and shoot some film with this camera and see how it goes. And I hope that you guys join me on the next one as we explore more things about film photography. Alright guys, thanks so much guys, and I'll talk to you on the next one. You take care.